New this morning, a federal appeals court ordering the judge overseeing the Boston Marathon bomber suspect Zohar Tsarnaev's trial to investigate the defense's claims of juror bias and determine if his death sentence should stand. The defense pushed back against the death sentence while claiming bias by two people who sat on the jury that convicted him for his role in the attack that killed 3 and injured hundreds of others near the Boston Marathon finish line in 2013. An appeals court found that the trial judge did not adequately probe Tsarnaev's allegations and began investigating. If that judge finds that either juror should have been disqualified, he will vacate Tsarnaev's sentence and hold a new penalty phase trial to determine whether he should be sentenced to death or not.